Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Natsa, and if you clicked on this video, you're probably wondering how I got rejected from my dream school but accepted into USC and Boston University. Today I am finally sharing everything, why I transferred, my journey, stats, how I applied, and how I'm making my decision, because I actually still haven't made it yet. So might need your help on that one, actually, seriously. Yeah, let's get into it. I am the daughter of two Zimbabwean immigrant parents who didn't go to college in the United States. I'm also the oldest, so growing up, I felt a little bit like a guinea pig in everything. When it came to middle school, high school, and especially when it came to the college application process and how colleges judge GPA and extracurriculars and all of those things. In high school, I had an okay GPA. I did a couple of extracurriculars. I'll share that in, the extracurricular stats portion of the video. But, I did okay. I wasn't great, but I wasn't bad either. In my head, I thought, oh, a GPA is out of 4.0, right? So if I just get on the higher end of 4.0, that should get me into super good schools. In theory, you would think that makes sense, but in actuality, it does not. Apparently, you need to be in the womb when you're studying for the SAT and doing all the extracurriculars and, having that 4.0 GPA, because getting into really good colleges is super, super hard, which I didn't exactly realize. So I kind of went through the application process and applied to, I think, 20 schools. I can't remember exactly how many I got into, but I do remember that all three of these schools that I applied to in my transfer journey, I applied to in high school as well and got rejected from all three, which I think is really funny. But I kind of didn't get into anywhere that was really interesting to me. I'm from California, and if you're from California, California schools are super hard to get into for California residents, which is super weird to me. So I didn't really get into California schools that I was interested in, and I kind of had always wanted to go farther when it came to school. So I was like, you know what? Purdue University. And honestly, I didn't really know much about the college experience. I kind of figured no matter where you go, everyone kind of gets a similar college experience. Boy, was I wrong, because Purdue was nothing like what I had envisioned and expected it to be. Before committing, I flew there with my dad for one day. We toured the school and I was like, you know what? This is it. This is where I'm going. And I kind of remember in the back of my head, and kind of what I'd always talked about with my parents was, I think I'll probably end up transferring out of Purdue, but for now, this is just what it's gonna be. We can fast forward to fall when I started school at Purdue. I did not love Purdue. I feel like if you go to Purdue, you've been to Purdue, you probably haven't, because there's no reason to go there unless you know someone there or are visiting. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. West Lafayette, Indiana is actually, there's nothing for miles but like Maple Farms. And the closest city is Indianapolis, which even Indianapolis isn't much of a city. At least for a Cali girl, it's not much of a city. So I tried to make friends. I feel like I was close with my roommate. I was close with a couple girls on my floor. But the thing about Purdue is the best way to make friends is to join a sorority. And being a Black girl who already grew up in a predominantly white area, I really did not want to put myself in the situation of having to be in white spaces again. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. Like, actually signing up to be the one Black girl surrounded by all white girls, like in those Panalytic sorority pictures, it just was not for me. I was like, no, I refuse. I'm not gonna do that to myself. So I remember I rushed, I think 2 days, but then I just decided not to rush. I also was going to the Beyonce concert the next weekend, which was the second weekend of rush. They told me you can't join a sorority if you're gonna miss it. And so then I was like, okay, it's a sign. It wasn't meant to be. So freshman year was not great. By the time I got to December, I was like, I need to get out of here. I'm gonna study abroad. So I had signed up to study abroad in Milan. I did not really do much research. I was just kind of like, cool, business program in Milan. I can do it through my school. Cool. I'm signing up. I'm going. That's that. So I studied abroad the fall semester of sophomore year. Oh my gosh. I can only say positive things about abroad. It was genuinely one of the best times of my life. I got to travel the world. I met the most amazing people. It was nice being surrounded by all business students too, because I was able to learn a lot. And also all of these people were a year older than me as well. So I was able to learn a lot about like the internship process and everything. I was also interning part-time while I was abroad in Milan, which was a super great experience. So Milan was great. And being there is when I realized this Purdue stuff, it is not for me. It is simply not for me. Like, I'm just not a small town girl. I can't do it. I refuse to do it. I won't do it. So that's kind of when I was like, okay, when I get back home in December, I'm gonna have a talk with my parents and hopefully they'll let me transfer. So I got back in December. I bawled to them about transferring. I was just like, please, I can't go back there. I don't want to go back there, like, please. And they're like, okay, write us a full description of why you want to transfer, what it'll cost us, all the details, da 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 da. I did that. I sent it to them and they said, okay, you can fill out the applications, you can transfer. The main thing for them was I could only go to a school that was significantly better than the one that I was at. Purdue was about a 50%-ish acceptance rate. I think the business school acceptance rate was probably a little bit lower. I decided to apply to NYU, Boston University, and University of Southern California. I chose these schools mainly because they were in cities, and I really realized that being in a city is what I need for my soul and just to be like a happy person. I needed that. So I chose those schools because they're in LA, New York, Boston. And also I just did not have the time to apply to any other schools. I had a job. I also was doing classes. I also was doing internship interviews, applications for internships because I was trying to find a summer internship, everything. So I just did not have time to do anything else. I applied in February and then I left Purdue, and obviously you guys know I got into Boston University, USC, and rejected from NYU. So yeah, that's a little bit about my journey. Next, I'm gonna go into the application process. I mean, all this information is Googleable, but basically you can apply to all 3 of these schools through Common App, which is really nice. How it works is basically you have to create a new account on Common App because you can't use the same one that you used in high school. You have to create a transfer student account. You create a transfer student account and you basically search up the schools that you want to apply to and you add them to like your list. Very similar to when you use Common App in high school. It'll ask you a bunch of questions. You'll have to fill in your extracurriculars. You'll have to do essays. Most schools it's just like a why XYZ school essay. At least I think for all the schools that I applied to, it was just like why USC, why NYU, why BU essay. Also, they ask for a resume, so make sure that you have a super strong resume as well. They'll ask for what extracurriculars and stuff that you did. Application process is pretty simple. And then for NYU, the applications are due March 15th. BU is March 15th. And then USC's is February 15th. So I kind of just worked on the essays based off of when they were due. Basically, all of my essays kind of had the same framework, just kind of shared my story a little bit, you know, how I love being in a city and how being in a city will be super beneficial, how my experience in Milan went, what I would do at the school, how I would add to the school, what I'm doing that relates to my majors. You know, I just kind of laid it all out there. I think I'll attach a Google Drive with all of my essays down below, so feel free to check that out if you want to see my essays. If that'll be helpful to you, I'll definitely drop that down below. Yeah, that's a little bit about the process. It's really not hard at all. Kind of hard when you're doing school and everything else, but in retrospect, it really wasn't that bad. Now I'm going to talk about stats. You do have to submit your high school transcript, so I'll start off with that first. My high school weighted GPA was a 3.7. I did not take very many APs in high school, but I did do a couple of college courses through my community college, so that helped boost my GPA a little bit as well. My fall semester GPA at Purdue was a 3.55. My spring semester at Purdue was a 3.81. Fall of my sophomore year, my GPA was a 3.74. Let me check that. I'm not 100% sure if that's correct. want to make sure I'm being accurate. Yes, fall of 24 was a 3.74, and since I applied in March, they only asked for my cumulative GPA up to that point. I applied to all of these schools with a 3.7 GPA. I will say when I appealed USC, because I did get rejected from USC, then I appealed and got accepted into USC. So when I appealed, I had to submit an unofficial transcript, and my spring semester was not good. Your girl was down in the dumps, I will say. So that spring semester, I had a 3.46 GPA, which brought my cumulative GPA down to a 3.64. I don't know how I got accepted by the appeal with a 3.64 GPA, but like, I just did somehow. I don't know. Yeah, that was my stats. In terms of extracurriculars, in high school, I didn't really do a ton. I did babysitting, I worked as a gymnastics coach, also did gymnastics, I did cheer, I was the president of the Black Student Union at my school. Some other things that I had on my resume were just like my job as a waitress, my job as a peer advisor for the study abroad office at Purdue. I also included that I was on student council when I was studying abroad. I also included my internship that I did while I was abroad. I feel like that was really it in terms of extracurricular. Oh, I also included SEO, which is an organization, nonprofit that I'm in that just kind of helps people of color get internships over the summer. Yeah, I'm not sure if that really helped with anything. Yeah, that was pretty much all. I'm really so unspecial. The fact that I got into the schools that I did really shocks me. I genuinely was not expecting to get in anywhere, but I mean, somehow I did, 2 out of 3. So I kind of want to go into my USC appeal a little bit and kind of talk about what I wrote in that essay. I'll sort of describe why I even did it. They rejected me, right? And in the rejection letter, they said, we had a super rigorous GPA of 3.7 and we're so sorry that we couldn't accept you because of this. And I was like, 3.7? Babes, I had a 3.7. Plus the college courses that I took, got all A's in. That would definitely raise my GPA to probably like a 3.8. So I had above a 3.7. What do you mean you rejected me because of my GPA? What? When I saw that, I got angry. I was fuming. I immediately opened up my computer and wrote out my appeal essay. I was pissed. I think I wrote it in like maybe an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and just raging. And I feel like that helped me. Like I was fueled with anger and passion and emotion, and I just laid it all out on the table. You'll see in my essay kind of how I sort of decided to go about it. I was just super emotional, super raw, super blunt. I talked about how I could contribute. I talked about the things that I'm doing. I talked about how passionate I am about everything that I'm doing and how I would just make an amazing Trojan and how I would love to go there. Yeah, that's basically kind of my USC appeal story, which I'm still in shock by. I actually found out about the appeal only 2 days ago. They literally sent me an email so casual, like, congrats, you got admitted off of an appeal. And I was like, oh, so casual, literally like nothing. And I'm still deciding what I'm gonna do because I was actually committed to BU. I still am currently committed to BU, and I have a few weeks to figure out what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I will also say that my USC appeal is a spring 26 admission, so it's not a fall 25 admission. That is also something that I need to think about. But then again, in terms of BU, they said that if I want to keep both of my majors, it might take me 3 years anyway. And because I am a California resident, if I go to USC, I can take community college classes that transfer in for free, basically. So right now I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards USC because I know I can get more credits transferred in case some of my Purdue credits don't transfer, and I'll probably be able to graduate only a semester late, whereas in BU I'd probably have to graduate 2 semesters late, which would be 2 extra semesters rather than USC. It would still be 4 semesters, just a semester later. I'm still trying to figure it out, talk to my parents about it, talk to everyone in my life about it, and see kind of what I want to do. But right now, USC doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what I end up doing. I think if anything, my story shows you that you don't need to be the perfect applicant. You don't need to have over 4.0 GPA. You don't need to do a bajillion extracurriculars. I feel like having passion and having heart, especially when it comes to the things that you're majoring in, is super important, because you can be super smart and do all of these things, but if none of it pertains to the thing that you plan on majoring in, it's really all pointless. So I would say pick a few things that pertain to what you want to do in life and roll with it. Be passionate, be blunt, you know, write off of that emotion that you feel about the school, about the experience, everything. Definitely just do your research on the schools that you see yourself being at, because I think I probably wouldn't be in this situation if I would have done that before applying to Purdue and picking Purdue and, you know, that whole saga. But I mean, it's all a part of my story, you know? And that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope I made sense. I feel like I just kind of was talking at you. I've never really done a video like this where I just sit down and talk at the camera. So I hope I hope it was structured well. If you have any questions, I don't really get that many comments anyway, so I will definitely be responding to all of the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok and IG. Also subscribe to me on YouTube, duh. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck to all the people who are planning on transferring or planning on just applying regular decision. Bye guys.